Hello.
It just sounds very robotic when I said that. But thank you for joining the podcast with Imran Sheikh. For those who are listening or watching, so Leanne and I, we used to work together. We worked at Charbuzinga together. She's an amazing software engineer manager. And the reason we have her today is because you started your journey as a software engineer. You've worked for some amazing companies along the way, and I think there's a lot of stuff in the end that you can offer other folks who are in 2024 and getting into workforce, or who were laid off in 2023 as well. It's difficult times. So to open up to you more about your background, um, let's start with let's start with how did you become a software engineer? I know it's a very big facade question, but like, where did you go to school? How did you get into being a software engineer?
Yeah, for sure. I went to school in Vancouver, Canada. Immigrated with my parents at when I was 11 years old, and I went to school I grew up in Vancouver, Canada. My parents actually in the tech industry, so my dad is a software engineer, my mom is studying math, and so for them, they have a lot of influence on me in terms of like the STEM fields. Um, Yeah, so I just pick computer science when I study at university. I study at Simon Fraser University at Vancouver, and I just really enjoy solving problems that people. Um, uh, I just enjoy solving problems with technology and see the impact it changed. And
Hmm.
I also really enjoy doing the front end component with it, and people just get to interact with it. So that's how I get into it. Yeah.
Nice. And what was there, like you said, your parents had an influence on you? Was it like more going with the flow, or like
Mm.
back home where I'm from, it's like you gotta be an engineer or a business person
Mm.
or accounting, like one of the or doctor. Was it like more like, hey, this is something
Ah.
great, you know?
My parents are actually quite traditional. So my dad he has his like software that he's built. He want me to help him build his software, and he made me to do it.
Wow.
But in the end, I think uh it does help me get myself in the door. I still pick the industry I'm in. Obviously, whatever he's working on is quite outdated. So I
Mhm.
didn't really like work on things related to where he's working, which is like GIS, like mapping
Mhm.
software. I'm more
Yeah.
interested in like the social medias, like the big tech that are currently happening, the new technology. So
Yeah.
I think it helped me in some way to get to see what's out there. And I do see like when I first graduated, there was just a lot of opportunities out there, a lot of incentive to become software engineers. And there's a
Hmm.
push, even women to be part of
Yeah.
engineering. So I feel very encouraged to be in the industry. And I in that because there's a lot of resources helping me to grow, I think it made me reevaluate how my skills can benefit the world. And then when I see a lot of business problem are solving, if you don't know engineering, it's pretty hard to solve it because
Yeah.
technology um, enable us to build things to speed up problem. And I think that's a lot of impact. So I see how a business problem can be revolved into technology solutions. I think
Mhm.
that's very powerful to, as an engineer, to see the impact there.
Yeah. And what's interesting is like if I just look around myself right now, I have at least more than a dozen easily technological stuff, right? And if you just look around us, right? So it's you can't escape. There's no way to escape. You have to be what I'm trying to say is like the tech has grown from where it was even 10 years ago. It's not the same. When you count from the first iPhone, which was 2007 to 2024, you're like, we have AI talking and possibly, living with us. But moving the shift a little bit, so you became a software engineer, you went to school, you graduated, with great result and all that good stuff. Tell us a bit more when you into start interviewing as a software engineer. What like were some challenges that you came across, or did you see any discrepancy in the roles that they posted? For example, we want someone who is a software engineer, but we need someone who has like X number of experience because they're always those posts, right? Like they're like junior, but we need someone very experienced doesn't match up. Tell us a little bit about more about that, the challenges that you faced, or how did this whole process go for you?
Mm. Are you referring to the like recent market or more like when I was early in my career?
Early, yeah. Let me talk about the early.
Uh, okay, let's talk about earlier. So I started interviewing as a software engineer maybe 8 years ago. I actually transitioned from a consultant
Hmm.
engineer because before that I want to do more business side mixed with technology. So I become a Salesforce consultant. So I did have a like computer science on the job. I did have to make a whole switch to be engineering, and it was quite challenging even during the boom time. Uh,
Mm.
what I did was in the current role, ask a lot of projects that are related to the new role. So you look at roles, what skill they require. Obviously, a lot of our software engineering coding skills. So
Hmm.
try to get that in existing role. And you
Hmm.
really need to carve time to study for algorithms. So if you're only aiming for entry-level engineer, all you need to worry about is algorithm data structure. So study on lead code.
Yeah.
If you don't know lead code, you could not solve it. Maybe just refresh your memory on algorithms to take that class again.
Hmm.
And that really helped to build a foundation. So once you know, you get that foundation well. So it took me like 3 to 4 months to go through each chapter I learned in school.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 months. But I have a job that time, so I was doing part time,
Yeah.
and then be very consistent on the code. Um, and then once I feel like, oh, I got the foundation of data structure correctly, I start applying. On the first time I applied, I did get actually 2 offers.
Hmm.
But the salary was a lot lower. So I got like smaller companies because they're okay with intro level. Uh,
Hmm.
so I was applying, keep in mind, I was applying from Vancouver to US, and
Yeah.
I was meeting with a lot of US candidates, and they're very good
Yeah.
because they're all from top school. And then, like I have a Canadian resume, which hey, this person doesn't have US, experience. So
Yeah.
that was quite challenging. But I did get 2 offers after like first few, I mean, I don't know, 3, 4 months. Uh,
Hmm.
but I didn't like the conversation.
Yeah.
Uh, and because it's a big move for me, I also
Hmm.
know there's a high cost of living in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So I had to make sense because the salary was very similar to what I already get paid, in the Canadian. So it just doesn't make sense to move. I think what I got paid was like first level engineer was around 60K Canadian, but US was it was 100K, but I still feel like that's a lower end for engineering entry
Yeah.
level at that time.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I just keep, and I need more time, so I just keep like refreshing and practicing. And I stopped doing recall. I just do real practice. So
Wow.
I just get a lot of interview. I did a lot of real practice. So that's where I feel, oh, then you do a lot, and the question are become so similar,
Yeah.
and then they
That's
just become repetitive. Yeah.
interesting. And so, for those who are listening, let's say someone who is non-technical, tell us a little bit more about lead code. That's like just a quick one. So people like I know what it is, but I think coming from you will be better.
Yeah. So lead code is a website where you can practice data structure questions. So for example, like things related to uh, the using binary search, things like that, and you can try a question. And normally you want to limit 15 minutes to 20 minutes to solve that, because
Hmm.
that's you typically get 2 questions
Yeah.
within 1 hour to do it. So you want to try practice as much as possible. But I also find I sometimes, lead code can be very boring and dry. So for me, I like to just do enough. I didn't do that many. I think I only did like 50.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
yeah, I know people who did like 200.
Wow.
But
Uh,
I only did 50, but I think because I did mostly on the in-person interviews, and because I was applying more front-end role, there's not a lot of legal questions about finance that time. So it's more like experience, like side project that you work on. Yeah, so legal helps, but I would say do like once a day, 30 minutes, that's it. Don't and then rest, apply, do some side project. I think that's more interesting and you get more experience building that you can talk about more in the
Yeah,
interview.
interesting. And so when things like changed in 2023, right? So let's want to shed the light over there a little bit. In 2023, we saw a lot of layoff.
Mm,
Like I sadly have to say maybe in 2024 we will see some happening with some companies that didn't correct themselves or whatever. When you like, I don't know, were you interviewing in 2023? If you were, how was it different from before? Like, what did you see in 2023? Like,
yeah.
when,
I would say before the whole layoff, I I get a lot of recruiter emails about interview opportunity, blah blah blah. And I see a lot of my friends joined before 2021, 2020. A lot of
Mhm.
people job ship and they get a
Yeah,
huge salary bonus.
yeah,
But that's why I didn't really try that hard because I feel like I'm really happy where I was. I really happy with my team and company. But in 2023, yes, yeah, I was part of Twitter, and that was also part of the Twitter layoff. And when I was searching, the first like November, December was actually okay. I was getting a lot of interviews, boom, 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 boom,
hmm
and they all skipped some round as well, which is good. But I think I keep trying to get a better offer. I have the mindset of the market is really good, so
yeah,
I want to postpone to interview as many companies as possible. But when January came, there's 2023, there's another set of like Amazon, all the Facebook are starting.
yeah,
The pool has increased more candidates. And that's when I was like, oh, it's a different scenario now. I shouldn't have waited. I should just pick the offer that
yeah,
yeah, I did. I already got. So when I waited for it, what was that? It's actually getting way competitive. The company are a lot pickier, and and I think I don't even know what they're looking for sometimes. Are they looking for a perfect solution, the best solution? So you can see the
mm,
staff engineer are competing senior position. If they are applying, you're done.
yeah,
Because definitely will get it. Um, it's it was tough. It was tough. And I know a lot of my colleagues were on the same boat. They face a lot of rejection as well. It just the market was really bad, and people who are senior, they struggle a lot too. Yeah,
wow.
it was quite hard. And yeah, because there you have you know, in interview you actually have
Mm,
other people that you know that are also into the same
yeah,
position.
it's interesting. I took a screenshot of this company, Loom, right?
Mm.
So Atlassian bought them, whatever. And it's 2 days ago, I took a screenshot. Leanne, they're like around for a principal product manager role. It's not a software engineer role,
Mhm.
but it shows on LinkedIn, it shows the count. There were around 3,000 people for that one single job. So, and I'm just taking that as an example. One can only imagine when it comes to software engineering, it's already competitive space. On top of that, you increase the pool of talent, and now you also have the senior folks applying to, a level below, possibly,
Mhm.
right? Because we don't know their situation, what's going on, right? So they will apply for any job they can get. And it becomes very difficult. So setting that as a stage, what would you suggest someone going into 2024? We just got started because even I've experienced like, the interviews are a bit more different. There's more pool of talent in every field, whether you're engineer, designer, product. What would you say that one can expect in 2024 from your point of view, from where you're looking at this?
Mm. I still feel like 2024, there's still some uncertainty. Maybe it's slightly better, but because I heard that Google recently has a layoff due to AI,
Hmm.
I'm not too confident that the market will be as good as 2021. And I
Yeah.
think I would if you have a job, that's great, but I think keep focus improving your skill set. I think because technology evolves so fast, you need to be
Mhm.
updated with current technology and see what are posting out there. So for example, if I look at it right now, there used to be a lot of front-end roles. I think there are still, but the industry is changing. They want people who have all stack traits. So full stacks is better. AI skill, machine learning. Right now, there's
Yeah.
more of those positions. So I think stay ahead of a curve and keep learning. And if
Mhm.
you have a job, maybe just apply and see. I mean, you don't want to wait when a layoff happen and then you apply and then you're a little late.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind you just need one job. You
Mhm.
don't need so many. So, and during the interview process, go with like learning mindset, because if you're in the industry for a certain company for a very long time, you might not be updated, but try
Yeah.
to learn from those companies. And you'll also learn a lot and grow a lot while you're doing interviews. So I think having a positive attitude and be persistent of your interview prep.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And do you think like any kind of warm introductions would make difference? Because in 2021, I saw a lot of that, right? So I would go through warm introductions, or someone would be like, "Hey, I know this person, he's looking for a new opportunity. Let's interview him." Really saw that. I even got boshed by someone else for the role. Do you
Mm.
think that will be same case for 2024? Because here's my argument. If we have someone preferred candidate through an introduction versus a rich pool of candidates, will companies still prefer to go tap into the rich pool, or would they prefer warm introductions?
Warm introduction using like code, like you don't know them or you already know them.
Oh, like you know them, like let's say this. I work for a company and I'm like, hey, I know Leanne, we need some person who can lead the amazing engineering team. Talk to her. It makes the process easier. You'll move faster. But do you think that still will be the case for 2024, or companies will be like, no, let's just interview. We're getting a lot of good applicants. Let's just take more time to hire. Let's not close the role faster because we have a rich pool out there.
I definitely think warm introduction or referral helps a lot. It will kick out the process faster.
Mm,
You have someone internal, they can recommend you. You skip a lot of like steps. The recruiter don't have to find a way for resume.
yeah.
So I definitely recommend having referrals for that. So when my last year when I applied, I think most of them either through recruiter who already reached out to me or referrals. And didn't feel like I need to wait from a recruiter, like, hey,
Hmm.
get back. So I think it helps a lot. I think it helped a little bit because I'm already in the industry, but I
Yeah.
understand fresh grad, you have to be proactive. I think when I was just graduate, I reached out to my friends who work in the industry. I proactively reach out. I need to
Yeah.
send a message. I get a LinkedIn premium. I did a lot of I went to a lot of events, networking
Yeah.
events, and just sent out my resume. So the first start of career, you really have to be proactive, reaching out for your network.
But will that be the same for 2024? That's my question.
Not even definitely, you still have to do that. I def for especially for entry level,
Hmm.
I think referral helps a lot. I think when I get my Twitter job, I have a very strong referral, and the hiring manager, oh, because you have someone who is strong,
Yeah.
we and that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good to know because at least those who are listening or watching, they can still count on some introductions. You know, because I don't know what to expect after 2024. I just feel like if I am a company, I feel like, hey, I will take much longer to close a role if it's not that urgent, and I
Mm.
will go through my process. I've seen this job posted. I'm not gonna name the company, but it's a big company. It's a what do you call a parent company. There are multiple companies within them. Then the matching group. You get the drift. And so um, they have this one role open for the last 7 months, and it's still open, right?
We backfilled too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I want to mention that when I was interviewing a lot of companies, they're hiring for the sake of backfilling. They actually don't have a position. Mm.
Interesting. So there's So hopefully there's some positive stuff in
Mhm.
2024 compared to 2023. So I'm sure people want to hear this. Working for Twitter or X. By the way, I use X a lot, Leanne, so don't hate me for that. Um, Tell us more. I will start from there. Let's talk about, Elon Musk. He took over Twitter, and how was that feeling? So I'm just trying to start from there. So Elon Musk took over. You learned that news.
Mhm.
What was the challenge? What happened? Like, as a
Mhm.
person who's like working and like, oh shit, there's a big change, you know.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, let me think. It's been a year ago. Uh, a year ago. That was, I think, when Elon Musk wanted to take over. It was around April 2022.
Hmm.
There was a lot of things going back and forth about whether if he will get if he will be part of the company or he will be back out the deal. So there was a lot of uncertainties. Um, and during that time, I think it was okay. We have all the leadership, seasoned leadership, so they're answering questions, Q&A, always there. Um, it was pretty smooth, but until the official time when he said, "Oh, the deal is happening,"
Hmm.
then people have a lot of concerns, and you can see out of nowhere, this top exec get laid off, and this one's get laid off. Everybody's like, top exec here are gone, who are there to answer people questions, are no
Yeah.
longer. So that's when the chaos come, and we don't know which department is still important because his vision is very different from previously where Jack had. So there's a lot of uncertainties. I
Hmm.
would say I actually didn't know what's happening until my friends tell me because there was no communications afterward.
Oh, okay.
After the takeover because they lay off a bunch of people, the top executive. There's nobody trying to take care of us to give us clear answers. So I hear a lot of things from my friends or news, and it's really chaotic. It's chaotic uncertainty. Everybody's like asking each other what's going on, what's going on. The project you're working on, is it gonna get shipped?
Hmm.
So it's, yeah, I would say very chaotic. I think during the layoff when it finally happened, I
Hmm.
actually went to the office the day before and I was that quiet. And then the security guy looks like he's about to cry. I mean, I know something happened, right? We all know
Oh,
something happening, and it's quite emotional for people.
yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's no email telling us exactly when it's happening, how is it gonna happen. So we all just like around 10 p.m. we gather together, like
Hmm.
organized by engineers. We just
Uh-huh.
wait and see, and then see when your laptop gets shut off.
Okay. And w- w- it was like that, right? Like they just laid off people from what I read. Like they just laid off and their laptop stopped working. Was it
Yeah,
the same with you, or you got like a sense, hey, you have 1 week? Or was it really
yeah,
what the media was saying?
yeah. Mine was also like laptop shut off. So
And you didn't know.
we always like in front of computer see when it's gonna be shut off. And I
Oh.
gave you the moment we cannot log in shut offs. Yeah. So we're just waiting. Yeah.
And was your manager still there, or they also got laid off at the same
All
time?
departments. So I think the whole department got out. Only like 5% of people in my departments is there. I
Mm.
don't know who's there. Yeah, it's only like a few.
Wow.
Mhm. At
I'm
least
just.
I don't know my organization is I was working for health, so it's
Mhm.
not sure how like it maps to the new vision he has. So yeah, our team got impacted quite a lot.
So wait, so you said you were working for.
Health org,
Oh, so what did that do? Like,
it's more for like content moderation, privacy and safety, um, GDPR stuff, um, abuse, things like that. So that department is, yeah, it's quite impacted. I think overall, every
yeah.
department. impacted. I didn't work for all of the department, but I know overall there was like almost every single department impacted. Yeah.
So, so there were those people who stayed in Twitter. There was a post done by, I don't know, some engineer or Elon Musk, that there are a bunch of engineers, right?
Mm.
And they're like, hey, we're with Elon Musk. Um, from what it looked like, and I'm asking because I'm actually curious, was there a divide within Twitter that some people were like, oh, great, we need this robustness because you know what, we've been just hanging around while Facebook is taking over, Meta is, becoming bigger. So we need this kind of aggressive leadership. Was there a divide that some people were like, let's do this, I'm in, and there were some people like, no. Like I'm trying to tap into.
I mean, I don't really know because to be honest, we're working remote. From
Oh,
what I see, I don't think people like the takeover because that means layoff. That means you're removing people and the culture has changed. So when I have been in Twitter for 5 years, the culture is really great. Everyone's very transparent, supporting, caring one another. When this thing take over, you can see there was no transparency anymore, no more communications. So the whole shift of culture.
mhm,
And if we voice our opinion, employee who are here longer or there's more senior, um, if they want to propose new suggestion, they have potential to let go because it's different than
mhm.
the leaders think. So the culture is it changed dramatically. Um, and for my opinion, I didn't sense like, oh, I didn't sense it that strong. Oh, this is like, oh, it's so good to lay off a bunch of people.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think that's why and I people the culture on Twitter is really great. I think it's like really great company I work with. Everyone is so close with each other. They take care of her like a family. So um I just feel like I really work with amazing software engineers, managers at Twitter, and have become friends, supportive groups. So I think seeing people get screwed over by this is pretty unfortunate. um,
Yeah. Like, especially like you also laying them off in the middle of 2023. No,
mhm,
was it 2022? 2023. I'm missing up.
2022. Yeah.
Yeah. So at least the market was a little bit good, and but it went down south for them. Um, One last thing on Twitter. I don't want to make it a Twitter segment too long, but someone who is now on the outside and you see X doing a lot of different things.
Mm,
You see, I don't know if you're still active. I'm actually got active and I pay for their premium subscription.
mm.
So I just want to ask, like, what do you think where the company is today compared to where it was when you were there? Did it
Yeah,
change for the good?
I haven't been really monitoring much on X and Twitter after the layoff happens. I think I was pretty exhausted with all the news out there, to be honest. I think I just found myself mentally, I just want to shut off.
Hmm.
But I have been keeping in touch with some friends who are still there. They told me it's more acting like a startup because the size has been smaller and they are making more innovations and changes. It's just everything just built faster. I think it's a good thing if they want to build new thing and encourage innovations.
Okay. No, that's a good way. So changing a little bit now and going back. So in your software engineering career, now you are a software engineer leader. You are managing folks,
Mm.
right? I don't believe a lot of people, or they do, I at least haven't come across a delve into becoming a manager. They always talk about how to be a good manager.
Mm.
Tell us the challenges that you came across when you stepped into the role of becoming a manager. And then you can tell us a little bit about what is expected out of that role.
Mm. Yeah. So I'm currently I'm a software engineer manager at a medium-sized company. Um, this role is a little bit different than big tech. I work a mix of being a manager and leading a project and as well as an engineer.
Hmm.
So I always constantly need to juggle my time between these three roles.
Hmm.
Mm. I really like this career path. I really like the people side. I really like interacting with stakeholders. Um, I really like helping engineers on their career growth. I found that really enjoyable. The challenging part is sometimes you might see as someone who should know everything,
Hmm.
but you don't. And so making use of people on your team, making people use of outside team to find answer that unblock your team.
Hmm.
And having good relationship with different teams and different engineer managers, your your boss as well as PM that you work with are really a key factor to contribute to this. At the end of the day, my success is measured by my team performance.
Yeah.
So enable the team to grow and build something and grow their career. Yeah.
And so when you become an engineer manager, right? Let's say there's someone who's listening, they're aspiring to be one, and you said, your team success, that matters.
Mm.
How do you measure that success? How do you define? Because here's my question. I've seen engineering teams in my past, they're really doing great. But let me even give more context. I've seen engineers really doing great work, but
Mm.
not a lot of things get into output. It takes time, it takes months. Product managers, there are some good ones out there. They understand that hey, we're building something, it will take time. It's not a wishing one and boom, it's done. What happens in that case, Leanne, is that, and you're probably familiar with it, it's like the team's output is not been seen, right?
Mm.
So now people are like, what is this team doing? Why are they wasting time? The good PMs understand that, but the executive leaders are like, what is this team working on? There's
Mm.
always this, I don't know if it's, you would say miscommunication or lack of communication. That's not your job, but you're already telling to your manager. My question is around how do you measure success for your team when you're not outputting something for, let's say, 6 months or 7 months because it's a big project? Let's say you're building a big platform, but the PM knows, so he's communicating or she is or they are communicating, right? And you're communicating to your stakeholders. But how do you show to the org that your team is killing it? It's a big project.
Mm. Yeah. I think if the projects, I think the first thing is um check with the company what is their OKRs.
Hmm.
Are whatever project I'm working on, is it matching the top priority of a company needs?
Hmm.
So first measure that and make sure your team is working on the top priority thing the company wants.
Hmm.
Another part is helping executions is breaking down the project into smaller pieces. If some project take 1 year, why does it take 1 year? Maybe you could have different milestones, so that's easier to measure.
Yeah.
So what I do normally, I have a goal every quarter we finish 1 or 2 projects, and I think it's easier to estimate that. And normally during the estimation phase, we write TDDs, technical design document,
Hmm.
which looking into the system, looking at any ambiguity, and kind of give a high level estimation how long the will take and what are some dependency with each team. I think if you don't do the scoping phase in earlier, you might run into keep incurring technical issues or delays because you did not did the part in the scoping phase, you did it during implementation, then it
Hmm.
actually down. So I feel like a lot of time, being a manager need to set up good processes to make sure the engineering and the thing we're building are set up for good flow and success. So I think having a good process, like for example, discovery phase with a product, and if the product want to do something, did they do enough research to make sure that this match company's goals? If
Hmm.
they do that, then we just implement it And if you takes too long, then you're actually wasting resources. That does not meet company goals. So
Yeah.
step is asking PM, how does your product vision match company success? And how do you measure that after we build it? And then once this answered correctly, you have the design, we engineers start looking at different system, and then depending, a lot of time we might need to talk with different team, and we don't know their resources. So we need to get them online too. It's our part of the top priority or your projects, right? Make sure they have help too. And then always communicating with your boss or PM to make sure is it okay. And if we're gonna cut some resources or need to reduce the time, which one you want to drop?
Yeah.
Do you want to build a minimum product first, or do you want to build like everything perfectly, right? Is it okay to is it an experiment? If something that you're not sure, we want to release it, but you just want to take a lot, just want to try it out. If it's experiment, then we can build something faster. We can like remove some of the complexity in the code, right? So it's all about like learning from the stakeholder, what are the expectations, and make sure the engineering are matching the expectations. So everything we do, we try to measure it by monitoring our system. When we
Yeah.
build, did they actually get this number click? And what is the top priority? What is something like lower priority that you can do later?
Yeah.
So setting expectation clearly with stakeholders is very important, and setting up processes that enable engineer to unblock.
You know, one thing I want to also add is from PM sides, and we probably will agree, PMs sometimes don't have clarity. And it's very disappointing to see that, right? Like, I think as a PM, one thing they should be doing more is they don't talk to their customers. They say they talk to their customer, they have actually just touched one or two customers and they're like, I spoke, right? And so someone who wants to really help an engineering team or leader to make sure their team is performing, because in the end of the day, the PM is responsible for the performance as well. I think they need to talk to more customers
Mm.
and, like you said, prioritize. I've seen number of PMs, right? And Leanne, you will agree, like who you will get a list of things and they're like, oh no, this is important. This is
Mm.
important. And then
Mm.
something jumps up. We had this situation, right? And I think use a framework. If you're a PM, please use a framework to prioritize that's really important to the company's OKR, which is validated by customers, and then go to your engineering team for scoping.
Mm.
Because I think what happens, Leanne, is like many times engineering teams are always like, hey, our PM didn't give us that, or I know the scope, but it's not clear. I don't know the ask. And the same question comes from designers as well. So I'm just
Mm.
adding on to if a product manager is listening, you got to do your job well as well. It's
Mm.
very important to talk to customers, use a framework to prioritize, map it with the OKR and company's goal, and then have that leads the engineering leader involved doing that process, back and forth. So you have cohesiveness. Um, this is very useful stuff that you mentioned. But changing now towards so now you're a hiring manager
Mm.
and you're hiring folks, you're leading the team, you are doing all this leadership stuff, and you will climb up the ladder even further. How would you suggest, or not suggest, or advise, or something that people can learn to climb up the ladder when it comes to becoming a manager, right? Or climbing up the ladder in other sense, but not being a people manager, right? There are other folks who are called distinguished engineers as well. They never manage anyone sometimes. So, what advice would you have for someone that if they want to climb a ladder, what they should be doing right now?
Mm. If they're already in a company right now, I would suggest getting a mentor and a sponsor. I believe for big tech, even for medium size, you need somebody to vouch for you. A mentor is somebody who can help you bridge the skill gap. So if you want to go to the next level, if that's engineer manager or staff engineer, perhaps look at the job description. if you have, and see what are the gaps you need. As someone, I really truly believe you need to own your own career, you're your own boss. So don't wait for your manager to do it. Do it yourself. Look at a career ladder, which one are the gap I need, and then ask for project that fill in that gap. So for example, you're going from like junior to senior, you need to lead a big project that requires
Mhm.
team. Ask that from your manager and work it, lead it. You write it, you lead the team to build it, and ask for opportunity for manager to do that and fill in the gap. And then for engineering manager, I think each company is different. So engineering manager, you really need to be I think you need to be a more people person. So you
Mhm.
need to really like people because it's a different role than technical. Like you interact with a lot of times with people, and there's people issues coming up, and how do you deal with conflict? How do you deal with people not working well with each other?
Mhm.
So that's a skill set, and also a project management skill. So you're juggling a lot of different projects that come out to you first, and like, yeah, I want to do this, and then you have other team member working on something else. So working on soft skills and leadership skills, I also think is very important. And as a EM, you constantly need to learn
Yeah.
and be updated with the technologies. So I think always improving your skill set that's outside of work or in the company, to have a growth mindset, and
Mhm.
that will help your career.
No, that's very helpful. And I think if anybody who's trying to climb up the ladder, especially in 2024, they've been doing, I think this is a good time to show up, right? Like 80% of life is showing up. So being more aggressive in terms of your goals
Mm,
and taking a shot the way you did. You were like, I'm solving this many questions, I'm practicing, I'm doing side projects, you
mm,
know, and I think that growth mindset and aggressive mindset of like, I want to really achieve it because I will enjoy and contribute to company's bottom line
mm,
is very important. And I'm just kind of recapping what you're saying just to summarize that. One last thing, and then, we will end this podcast. Um, Multiple advices are welcome. I always ask my guest what advice they have. For you specifically, someone who wants to get into tech, what advice would you have for them? And something that can help people, because the goal that I'm trying to do is when people take away something from this podcast is this thing that you
mm,
would say every time someone has something.
mm-hmm. Uh, any advice? I think I have mentioned quite a bit earlier. Just have a very have a growth mindset, have a mentor, and then have a sponsor. You can also reach out to me if you need a mentorship to guide your career. I can give you some resources there. Um, and if you're starting out, I think networking is quite crucial to make sure you spend 20% of your time to reach out to people that are, that are working in a company, and so they can refer, and don't feel like you're bothering them because they want to help you. And most of the time they also have referral bonuses. So when you apply, they also get a chunk of benefits. Um, and then I think also be consistent with your side project if you have one, or lead code. So you always have the muscle sharp,
Mhm.
and just don't give up. Be persistent.
And in terms of advice for someone who is climbing up the ladder or wants to climb up the ladder.
Mm. To want to climb the ladders, I think having a great support system is good. And myself, I'm reaching out to my previous manager to give me mentorships,
Mhm.
uh, and they give me a lot of advice. Sometimes I deal with, things that are quite different from what I used to at Twitter. For example, some of stuff like, for example, the PRD is missing, or how do I talk with people who they don't report to me, but
Yeah.
how do you deal with that? So I reach out to my network for previous managers to give me some advice. I also take classes. I think I just talk about personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I find a skill gap you need. So for me, sometimes I'm still early for my EM role, so I wanted to be a good manager. So I took a online class about management, and I learned a lot from that from peers. So constant learning, improving the gap you needed to go to the next level, um, and also like just take your time, take care about your health and body to move up. Yeah, and it takes time, but you need the right support to get there. Mhm.
Yeah, this is a very good one, Leanne.
Mhm.
So, on this note, let's end the podcast. Thank you for
Mhm.
giving us your time, sharing your experiences, becoming a software engineer, working at Twitter, 2024 advice. You also have your TikTok channel, right? It's Coding BFF. Is that the correct username?
Yes, I have a
So
TikTok
do
community, I
Yeah,
guess.
so do follow her. I will leave her LinkedIn as well in the bio for wherever you're listening, so you can connect with her, have mentorship and also, get advice from her.
Yeah.
But thank you, Leanne, for joining this podcast.
Thank you, Imran. Okay.
Thank you.